Hello and welcome to NewFilmmakers Los Angeles. My name is Danny De Lillo. I'm delighted to be joined with Victor. Hi, Victor.
Oh, how's it going?
All is good. And for those that haven't seen Victor's movie being in, let's take a look at a clip.
Less hips.
I can't help it, I've got happy
Maybe
feet.
lower.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Lower!
Yeah, I can show you around and you can meet everyone and...
And I'm feeling so good.
Girlfriend? Nope. I don't have one. Gah, I wish.
Victor, you know I loved your film. I told you yesterday how much I loved your film at the film festival. Thank you for bringing it to us. For those that haven't seen it, tell us a brief synopsis.
Yeah, so it is a 13-minute short film about a boy called Adrian. He is out as gay at school, but not out to his parents. So then when he gets a call from his mom that she will be visiting in 24 hours, he has 24 hours to get straight all over again before she shows up. So it is a reverse makeover montage.
I love it, and I honestly think you had such a great group of actors. Like, it was really wonderful to
love
watch
them.
that.
Yeah,
Really great. Which I want to get into. Where did the inspiration come for you in making this into a film?
yeah. I think anytime that I write, it's because I'm just so fixated on something in my life, and I just want to like word vomit it out. So I got to a point where started coming out during freshman year of college, and now we were getting to the end of college, and I was like, great, in the past 4 years I figured myself out, I know who I am, we did the whole coming out thing. So it was like, what a better way to just tie a bow on it and then send it off into the world and not have to think about it anymore than like making a short movie about it. And I was just lying in my childhood bedroom right before coming back to school for senior year, and sitting there, I was like, yeah, 4 years ago, I was definitely closeted, had no idea what I was doing, did not know who I was, and then now we're here. But then I was also thinking about it, and I was like, we never talk about the in-between and coming out. Like in Love, Simon, he comes out to his mom, comes out to his dad, and then it's like, yay, happily ever after. I'm like, no, what does Simon's Thanksgiving look like? Like, what happens when you add in a grandmother, add in somebody that doesn't know? And it always felt like every movie was, yay, they're out, we're done. But I'm like, no, you still have to come out to probably a person a day is how it ends up working out. So one summer I was home, and the thing is I was really lazy, so I didn't want to have to find a dentist in Los Angeles yet. So I kept just driving back home 3 hours to go to the dentist that I'd been seeing this entire time. And then I came to school, came out, went back for my dentist appointment. And as I was sitting there, she was like, how's it going, Victor? Any girlfriends? And I was like, sitting there 20 fully out at that point, and I was like, oh, I forgot to tell my dentist. Like, it's not a thing that I had to think about, but I was like, I totally forgot that she doesn't know. And she had like all of the tools in my mouth and stuff, and I was like, I could try right now, because she loves to have conversations as she's like drilling into my teeth. So I was like, I could give her the whole spiel, but instead I was like, no, I don't. And she was like, oh, darn, you're so handsome. And I was like, thank you. But yeah, it was like, I just don't have the time right now. You have like a drill in my mouth. But it was just that idea of like, I thought that I'd hit all the points, and then there was that one person that just came out of left field. And I was like, let's make a movie about having a group that knows and having a group that doesn't know, and just what it looks like when those two come together.
Oh my goodness, what an amazing story, just to hear all the inspiration. And it's so true. I mean, being part of the community myself, you know, you're constantly having to sort of tell someone a day, you know, of something. And it's takes a lot of energy, and it's also, you know, it's hard having to explain yourself. And I thought you articulated in this movie so well, because, you know, for someone who's yet to come out as well, your friends are so important. I mean, without your friends, like, I don't know what I would have done in surviving, to be honest with you. And so, you know, I love that you just kind of showed the empowerment of friends, and particularly that age group, you know, of when you're all together kind of, you know, coming through life and growing up and everything. And I thought it was so great. And I love that you had this like spin on it, because my goodness me, we've had to hide things about ourselves and how people perceive us and what we're supposed to be and look like and everything. So was that something that kind of was, you know, I mean, this was obviously your thesis film. It was really well articulated, Victor. I loved it so much. And tell us a little bit about the cast that you brought together, because I thought these relationships were brilliant.
Yeah. When I started making this movie, knowing that it was my last movie at UCLA and that I was going to spend a year working on this, I was like, I want to work with my friends. And the good thing about UCLA is that they're one of the only schools that combines their theater department with their film and TV department. So for like 3.5 years at that point, I had met so many actors, so many people, and most of them I'd been working with since my freshman year of college. So my lead, who plays Adrian, I met my second quarter at UCLA, and we've been friends ever since. He's a year older than me, so he'd already graduated, and I was like, Justin, have I got the role for you? And then my other friends who play Justin and Eli, I'd already known them as well. These were all people that I'd known throughout all 4 years, and it kind of was sitting down and writing their characters for them. So like for the guy who plays Eli, the straight white dude,
Yeah.
I sat down with him, and he is just the straight white dude in my life. But I sat down and I was like, Michael, I feel like out of all of the straight friends that I have, straight men that I have specifically, I was like, I feel like you and I have never had anything weird in our friendship because I'm gay. Like me coming out to him did not change anything in any way. And I was like, that's weird for you. I was like, you're like a straight white jock. Like that never happens. And he was like, oh, I just don't really care all that much. And I was like, that's crazy. So he knew that I wanted to write that into the script. And then also I was like, what do you want to play? Like, this is the last time that we might make a short together. What do you want to do? And he goes, Victor, I've always played the bully, the villain, the homophobe. He's like, can I just be the friend? And I was like, easy, say less. So it was like writing a role for him where I was like, you're still going to play a straight white dude, but you're going to play a straight white dude who isn't mean to the gay kid. Crazy in America to see a movie like that.
Right.
Yeah, but it was just working with all these people. The only person that was new was the person who played the mom.
Yeah.
And it's weird because when you're in college and like you write in an adult actor, all of our professors are like, are you sure you want to work with adults? Why not just work with people your age, blah, blah, blah. I was like, we're going to try it, you guys. So it's funny because in the script, I originally had a mom and a dad, and I cast both of them off of LA casting. The lady who ended up playing the mom, Ileana, was the first person to submit. And I don't know if you're familiar with LA casting, but you post on LA casting and within 10 minutes, you already have like 30 people. And the first person is usually really, really quirky and weird. She was the first person and I FaceTimed her and I was like, oh, she's perfect. And I was like, it was crazy. I was like, I don't know how I got so lucky finding her. Yeah, she was amazing. We FaceTimed one time before shooting, talked about coming out, and she has little kids. So she was like, my kids, like, I don't know what their sexuality is. And I was like, yeah, your kids are like 9. But she was like, if my kids came out, like, I'm going to put myself in that position. And she started crying over the FaceTime, just thinking about how much she loved her kids. And I was like, you have it. You've got the role. So yeah, all of these people were people I worked with except for the mom. And then I did cast a father character. And 1 week before shooting, he sends me an email that just says, hey, Victor, was shooting on a commercial and broke my knee. Need emergency surgery, will not be able to walk for the next 3 months.
Oh.
Is that fine? And I was like, well, none of our locations are wheelchair accessible for you. Is it fine you're not in it? He was like, I totally get it. I will probably be in surgery that same weekend too. And I was like, cool, cool, cool. So then in the span of that week, we literally just rewrote it, wrote out the dad, never mentioned him, and then just shot it with the mom. And it is what it is now. But I was like, just my luck to have cast this incredible actor. And then I think he broke his knee inwards. I was like, sir, you've got so much more on your plate than giving me 5 lines in this final scene. Yeah.
Wow.
It was great. And then the relationship between Ileana and Justin, who played Adrian, was so good too, because she lives an hour and a half away from like LA. So I was like, I'm not going to make you drive a 3-hour round trip just to rehearse with us. I know that we can get it on the day of. And then when she showed up, she was like, I know that you just want me to jump into the scene so we can stay on schedule, but she's like, I need 20 minutes alone with the guy that's going to play my son. And I was like, okay, valid. So we literally just locked them in a room, left them there for 20 minutes. And then she literally came out and was like, okay, we're ready to be mic'd now. And I was like, okay, cool. And it was cool because we just sat there for like, the crew was just sitting for 20 minutes, just kind of silently letting them have their moment. They came out and then they were like, cool, we're ready to do the scene. And I was like, stunning. And then later I was like, what do you guys talk about? And she was like, I learned so much about her in 20 minutes. Like they just fully went through each other's stories and like why they cared. And my actor is gay because I was like, I'm not going to cast a hetero. So it was just him telling her his coming out story, and they bonded so much that I feel like you can see it in the final scene. Like they'd only met that exact morning, but they worked so well together just because they had that time to sit and like learn about each other before jumping into it.
It really did. Like it was really great. And this, you know, what I love, Victor, there's so many elements in there that I really appreciated that you put in there. You know, firstly, you know, there's several different identities. You know, there's an identity obviously of your main character being an Afro-Latino. That's one identity that, you know, you discover. And unfortunately, as you move from the world, you discover people got judgments about sexuality. And it's something, you know, as we go along, our identity will get put in boxes with this, with that, with the other. And I just kind of love that, you know, it was about discovering yourself, about him being around friends that actually empowered him as a person, which was really great. And I think it was really beautiful with the whole white straight male situation. Like, you know, what does it really actually affect that other person by them being gay? You know, like, I love that you had him like, well, I don't care, I just love you as a friend. You know what I mean? Because that's really all. It shouldn't affect you in any way possible. And I love that you went down that road as well. I also love I thought your production design was delicious. Like, it was edible almost. It was gorgeous. And I love how you introduced all the characters. Was that something that you wanted to do? Because the way you introduced the characters, I felt I was about to go into like a, you know, Netflix series. Like, you took me into something really special.
And I love the Netflix comparison, because when I started, I was like, we are going to be making Mean Girls, but it's gay in 2020. And I was like, who's making Mean Girls but gay in 2020? Netflix is the one making that content. This is like to all the boys I've loved before, but gay. Yeah, from the beginning. And it's funny because I feel like when I direct, people trust me, but sometimes they don't know what I'm doing. So from the beginning, I was like, guys, we have to shoot the opening like this. It's going to be title cards. It's going to be inserts. I was like, we have to shoot the inserts like it's a car commercial. Like, it has to feel like you're aggressively in their face. And they were like, okay, cool. And in traditional coverage, what they teach you in film school is you like go for the wide, cut into medium, cut into close up. And then I had to talk with my professor and be like, we're doing the exact opposite. Like, we're getting one character number 2 is going to talk, and we're taking one step back, and then finally halfway through the scene, I think you get the wide shot. But I was like, guys, it just has to feel like it's moving. We have to keep feeling. I was like, if there were a comparison, it's like, it has to feel like you just have the biggest sugar rush in the world, and you're meeting this giant group of people and jumping right into it. Just because I wanted it to feel like very Edgar Wright, I guess. I don't know. It had to have that like Scott Pilgrim jumping around feeling. And there was no reason why. It was just because otherwise it's just a boring brunch scene. Like, it's sure the dialogue is funny, sure it's quick and whatever, but I was like, I just want to have this movie where we come out of this one character drinking mimosas, see his world, and then there's a wrench thrown in it. We have to go from there.
Well, I said it was edible and delicious, and you said you wanted all sugar candy. So there you go. It worked. It worked for me. I felt it. I really did. No, I thought the whole colors and everything, and it was really beautiful to kind of watch as well. You know, I think the really amazing thing is that, you know, from a sort of morality perspective is that I really just enjoyed that. You know, it's okay being who you are. You know what I mean? Like, we're always trying to mask something. Like, goodness me, how many times I've had to mask in my life my sexuality for certain reasons around certain people. And then just coming back together, like, I'm okay. Like, I'm okay. You know, to anybody out there that watches the film, you're okay, you know? And I love the way that you did that. And it was really powerful. Was that something that you kind of wanted to sort of articulate too?
Yeah, and I'm glad that it came across. Like, especially, I love getting feedback from other people that are in the queer community, because I'm like, this movie is mostly for you. And like, it's funny too, because like, one of the notes that I did get from somebody that is queer is like, Victor, this is so over the top. You don't have to over explain everything. And I was like, let me tell you this. My parents don't even know what a twink is. I do have to over explain everything. Like, it's just that fine middle ground. But when it comes to that idea of like, it's fine being you, and I only realized this maybe 2 years ago, when I was really, really little, and all the way through high school, we didn't have cable, but like when I was little, what I would do before school is watching episodes of Mr. Rogers. And I didn't realize until very recently how much that affected my brain growing up. But I think he ended every episode with being like, it is perfectly fine to just be you. And he would like, the episode would end. And like every single morning at 6:30 a.m., I would watch that, and every single episode would end with him just looking at the camera and saying, it's perfectly fine to be you. And I was like making a program like that for 3, 4, 5-year-olds and ending it with being like, it's fine being you. He doesn't know who we are. He's just an old man on TV, but he would look me in the eyes every morning and be like, being you is good enough and it's great. And I was like, great. So I feel like with my career, that's exactly what I want to do. It's like, this movie is mostly, and I make this joke all the time, but I feel like being in is for the 12-year-olds who will find it on YouTube in an incognito browser and don't want their parents to know they're watching gay movies on YouTube. And I'm like, for you in the Midwest who is watching this on an incognito tab, it is perfectly fine to be you. It is the environment around you that's the one that's not used to who you are. But like, I think at the end of the day, even if it is over the top and it's almost like looking into the camera and saying it's fine to be you. But I'm like, people need that. Like 12-year-olds need that. Kids need that because it's what we don't have right now.
And I think I mean, you know, regardless even of our ages, I think it's so special for, like you say, the 12-year-olds and people, you know, discovering who they are and such like that. And it's also a great thing, I think, for parents too. Like, you know, the wonderful thing, I thought your mom was amazing. I thought she was incredible. And you know, she didn't have to do very much for me to feel her energy in such a powerful way. And, you know, one of the things that I love that came across in the way that you wrote it is, you watched that moment where she interacted with her son and she made a choice about how she was going to react. You know, you could feel her intense love for her son, and that was going to be everything else that maybe she was feeling. And I love that there was that moment where she just makes a choice about how she's going to react. And I think that is valuable for a lot of parents to see that maybe be going through things themselves, you know, or also just knowing what a young person discovering themselves as a gay person is going through. And so that's something you kind of wanted to articulate too, because I really found that powerful.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it just comes from how my mom reacted and how my parents reacted when it came out. Like, I think the first reaction you expect is negative just because we're so used to being afraid of our parents. But the first reaction that both of my parents had was fear, not just of like me being outside of their house, where it was like that protective paternal instinct where their first thought was like, oh, you're a minority, more so than before because I am Latinx, but it was like, oh, like you are in danger in certain parts of the world. And it's like, it was like, no matter what they had thought, no matter what their preconceived notions of the queer community was, their first instinct was like, oh boy, we have to protect you. And I knew that that's what I wanted that scene to feel like, was that mom knowing that in that instant, whatever she had thought, that is her son. And it's like, whether or not she, like that son is the exact same son that she knew yesterday. There is no difference in who he is, just how much information she knows. And if she loved him yesterday, she's gonna love him today. Two moments in that scene that I guess I hadn't thought about as big moments until the actress, approached me. And she was one of the few actors that I worked with where she came and talked to me line by line and was like, how do you think she feels? And then let me tell you how I would react if this were my kid, and us having to find that middle ground. But one of the first questions that just had never crossed my mind was when they called the friend over who's in the yellow romper, and he comes over and shakes hands. The actress Eliana, looked at me and she was like, how do you interpret that meeting? And I was like, oh, well, you're just meeting a friend. And she goes, well, from a mom's perspective, I probably already know that my son is gay because moms do. And she's like, so when this guy comes up to me, I'm starting to think, is this a secret boyfriend? And I was like, oh, I had never thought of it that way. And they are, you know, from the opening scene, they're just friends. But she was like, can I play it that way? And I was like, yeah, like if that is probably what his mom would think if he was like, hi, this is my 100%. Friend. And I was like, I had just never thought of that before. So there's just that tiny brief moment in her acting where when she goes to shake hands, she does like a little thing with her face where she's like, oh, hello, like I know who you are. And it's so funny because it's just they're not together, but from her perspective, that was it. And then something that I got notes on from my professors and friends was there's that line where he goes, my friends let me be who they are. And she goes, and what's that? And then he says gay. So many, like my professors were like, why does she bait him? Like, why does she keep throwing that question out there? And I'm like, it's because at that point, everyone in that scene already knows. Like, so she's asking just so they can say it out loud. It's not that she's trying to bait him into saying something. She already knows. She's just asking so they can talk about it, so they can move on from there. And that was something that she brought too, where the way she says it is so borderline between pointed and I already know. It's just, what's that? And I'm like, brilliant. Okay, no, Ileana, you already know. Yeah.
It's lovely because you really do capture that, and it is really, it's fantastic to watch. There's so many really good tongue-in-cheek humors that you've picked up in this film where you're great actors, but the writing too and the way it was directed. So, you know, well done on you on that. Now, this obviously, I mean, this is your thesis film. How does it feel with your thesis film? I mean, we love having a film at NewFilmmakers LA, but to have it in partnership with the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences over the celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month with some of the best Latinx talent around, you know, US, Central and South America. How has that experience been for you?
Yeah, it's batshit crazy. I don't know if I can cuss on this, but like looking at everybody else's shorts, I was like, oh my God, like the level, the caliber of talent in like this selection of shorts is so huge. I was like, who let me in the building? Like, are you guys sure? Like,
Welcome to
these
the
guys are
building.
making movies. Yeah, it's insane. And I think I just made this for me. Plus, I think when I came to LA and I was like, time to make movies, the one thing I said was, as long as something I make affects one other person, we're good. We did it. Like I set my number at one. I was like, we just need to make something that connects with one single person, and it'll be worth all the money that I spent going to UCLA, moving to LA, et cetera, et cetera. And then it's so interesting because I feel like I made this movie being like, it is for me and one other person. Like, that's all we need to do. And even when screening works in progress cuts, I was like, oh, this connects with people. And like, I guess it's just getting into this festival, it's just super validating because it's like this story that feels so niche. Like, the lead is Afro-Latino, I'm not Afro-Latino, I'm just Latino, but still the fact that the character is Afro-Latino in college, 20 whatever, coming out, it feels like there's so many descriptors that are so specific to who that character is. And the fact that so many people are like, I get this. I'm like, crazy how that happened. Like, I guess film is universal, but it's amazing.
I mean, it really is. And credit to you, because I mean, I think as well as helping those, you know, that I know it's going to help more than one person, but I know I'm with you on that respect of how I feel too about films. And, you know, to know that it will also help others, but it will also help and educate others that aren't maybe going through it too, and enhance minds. Like, there's so many layers to your film, which I know it's going to give, you know, a universal audience a different effect for each person. And I love that you made it for all those different reasons, to be honest with you, because I think it really is powerful. I think every person should see your film just to understand, learn, maybe help them going through something, maybe help if they got a child going through something, you know, all those different things. Like, I'm so glad that you made it. I really am. And well done you. You certainly deserve to be in the building, Victor. What is next for you?
Yeah, a lot of writing, I think. It's interesting because I came into college thinking that I wanted to direct blockbusters specifically. For some reason, my parents let me go watch Star Trek Into Darkness and run with the dream that I was going to be the next J.J. Abrams. Got to college and I was like, wow, that's hard to get to. Like, blockbusters are hard. And like, realistically, could I walk onto a set? And I don't know how to do that. So I was like, you know what, we're going to put a pin on that one. And over the course of college, I started moving more towards writing and directing. Dropped producing. I was like, I can't do that much paperwork. And then the way that UCLA works is at the end of your third year, they ask you what you want to concentrate in. You choose, and then you do that, and that's what your thesis is for the rest of senior year. So we have like documentary, narrative directing, writing, all of those, editing. So then I was stuck between writing and directing, but the difference is that for writing, your thesis is writing one feature, and for directing, it's directing a short. And I thought now is the only time that I will have all the time in the world to work on a short and just make it happen throughout the course of the year. I can kind of write a feature whenever, like I could write a feature while I'm also doing my thesis. So it just felt like that was the way to go. But it's funny just now, because all of these conversations, especially with all these other filmmakers screening at NewFilmmakers LA, they're like directors and they're like diehard directors. And right now I'm at a point in my life where I'm like, okay, I'm 22. No one's going to write me a blank check for the next few years because I'm 22, young, and don't really know what I'm doing yet. But that's why I love writing. So I think right now what I'm working on is just two big projects that I'm rewriting. So like one of them is a gay rom-com, gay Latinx rom-com, go figure.
Awesome.
And the other one is a gay pilot. So it's literally just writing and writing. But I think for directing, the idea isn't to like let that dream die while I do writing. Like I definitely want to direct and write and just keep hopping back and forth. And I feel like writing is just
both, Victor. You're wonderful at both.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, you know, geez, you really are talented at both. So just keep both of them striving. And you know, I mean, you know, you're affecting people with your film, your content. So you know, you really are. You know, doing great and wondrous things. So I'm just delighted that you're making films, and I want to keep seeing more of your films. Just keep giving us more, please.
I'm trying as much. Yes. I'm trying to oversaturate the market with gay content so that we can drown out some of the hetero content. Is where we're at.
There you go. Well, listen, thank you for being part of New Filmmakers. We appreciate you, and we're so glad that you're part of us. And welcome to our filmmaking family. And please just keep bringing more greatness and creativity to us. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do exactly that.